Ooh, that cut off. That felt like it cut off quick. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the April 14th edition of Makers and Movers. How are you guys doing today, folks? Today's topic, why your brand needs a mascot or two. Last week we went through some AI training. It continues on, I think probably for the next 2 weeks, probably. But one of the things we were talking about was mascots. And it got me thinking, yes, there are a lot of reasons people have them, different things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first up, do you have a mascot? Does your business have a mascot? Let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about that. It's your first time here or your long time here. Didn't know who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, and what the weather is like in your area. I'm about to smash out a tropical vibe Celsius weather. I think it's like in the 50s, but I don't think it's supposed to change much today. It was decent yesterday, but I think for the most part, we're just kind of flatline today. I think the high was overnight, and now it's just going to get a little bit chillier. 54 feels like 49 here today, and the temp 61 windy high. We'll get with it. The other things, what are 5 things that you are going to accomplish today? So number 1, I've got more AI training, so we're working on that. I've also got a banner that needs to get done. I've got DTF that needs to get done. I need to finish setting up a store. And I've got artwork that needs done for approval. So those 5 things are what's on our stuff. Love to hear your 5 things today. Now, let's check in, see how everyone's doing. Remember, sharing's caring. Go up, hit that like, subscribe, share button. If it's there, somewhere, just go hit that. Get that out to as many places as you can. Renee, good morning to you. Overcast 63 in Chicagoland, water in the bottle, and coffee brewing. 5 things: therapy, office work, clean up laser areas, respond to messages, follow up with clients. Renee's got a nice busy day ahead of her there. Barb, good morning. North Central Minnesota, 35, snow and rain today. This week they talked about us having a chance of snow, a chance of frost, a chance of freezing, and I think they said a heat wave too. I don't know. It's April in the Midwest, so don't like the weather. Wait an hour. 5 things. Update hoop spreadsheet. Ooh, what does that mean? I don't think I've heard that before. Cut stabilizer, set up for inverter, and check inbound materials. Digitizing. Very nice. Hi, Renee and Barb. Or hi, Barb and Todd from Renee. Hi, Renee and Todd from a Barb. Yes, very short intro. Love the Octo. Yeah, Ocho. That is Ocho. And when we came about it, think about it. For us, we're always juggling so many things. And so I went through and I built a custom GPT, and actually the people that are doing our monthly subscriptions for us I'm trying to think. We haven't really come up with a name for the program yet, so I need to do that. Maybe AI can help with that today. But we're doing some one-on-one sessions, and I went through, build a GPT, run them through it. We'll see how that all turns out so I can get that refined. But yes, Ocho, because we're always juggling so many things. So I got Fat Dad and Ocho is there for it. Tanya, good morning. Driving to Burlington, listening to trainings, a meeting, and unsure. Coffee and water. Have a safe drive down there. Jeff, good morning. Barb, Renee, and all. Earthling, 64 Northern Kentucky. Diet Coke in my cup. 5 things today. Print cut, print 3D model. Small parts for my graph tech, and you guessed it, print. Ooh, what do you make for your graph tech? I'm interested in that. Barb says, I've been thinking of a mascot, possibly using Ruger, my golden retriever, as he is the shop supervisor. Absolutely. And this, what we can do is, what do we have that we can add into it? Hi, Tanya and Jeff. Jeff says, Jeff says, Tanya, I live in Burlington, but probably not the same Burlington. No, she's Burlington, Iowa. Morning, Jeff and Tanya. It's spring in the Midwest. You can see all the seasons in one day. Sometimes you can see them in 1 hour if we get really lucky. Jeff, how'd you do with the flooding? And Jeff said, Renee, 100% true. So that's what we just wait for. Okay. As your stuff comes in, you ask your stuff, you put your stuff out there. We'll come back and we'll keep answering your questions for you. I'm going to bring up my notes and find those here, so that way we are good to go and I'm all in one spot. So when we go through this, we've got it. There's some things with branding, because branding today is hard. We're scrolling. Everybody's got a name, a logo, and a font that they created on Canva, right? But brands that truly stick are the ones that people actually remember. That they have personality, they have their story, and often they have a mascot. Sometimes they even have two. For us, that's why we created Fat Dad and Ocho just for that reason. When we looked at it, here, Fat Dad is calm, kind of the funny voice of wisdom. Ocho, she's the overstimulated octopus with a heart of gold and 14 things in her tentacles. Together, they say everything that our brand stands for without us having to say it all ourselves. So we're going to break down why you need a mascot, or even better, mascot duos, to be remembered, loved, and shared. We're using these now in all of our messaging, anything that goes off there. In fact, you should get in, if you're on our email list, you'll get an email today introducing the new team, and that's part of it. We're creating this, so it goes in it. We have daily posts that we post for things. We have questions. They're going to be in everything, so that way it becomes consistent with it. And why is that? Because number one, mascots make your brand instantly recognizable. You have a few seconds, maybe less, to catch somebody's attention in today's world, right? So with that, logos help, but they all blur together after a while. That mascot gives people a something visual and specific to latch onto. When someone sees that face, that character, that quirky expression, they know it's you, and without needing to read a single word. Now, this is especially true for makers who market on social media. Think how often the posts are surrounded by noise. If your mascot is front and center, people can spot your brand from a mile away. It's like giving your content a uniform that says, "Hey, it's me again." Well, look at Fat Dad, who we created. His hoodie, his goatee. I don't have a hoodie on. I got this, but hoodie, goatee, and signature painted toenails. Right? Fat Dad is the brand. Whether he's giving DTF tips or just being sarcastic in a meme, people recognize the visuals immediately, and they associate it with quality, humor, and reliability. Another example, Kool-Aid Man, right? You don't need to see a logo or hear the product name. He bursts through a wall and yells, "Oh yeah!" And it's Kool-Aid, right? That's powerful branding, and it lasts for decades. So what do? Well, maybe just draft or sketch a mascot design that includes one distinct visual element, like bold hair, funny outfit, or an expression they always have. Hey, if this is something that can live on stickers and shirts or memes, bonus points for that. Okay. Now, next up, mascots build the emotional connections that logos just can't do. When was the last time you felt something about a logo? Now, when was the last time you felt something about watching a character do something silly, heartfelt, or honest? Exactly. Mascots humanize your brand. They give it emotion, they give it a voice, they give it humor, and they help you show up as a personality instead of just a business. This matters because people just don't buy brands. They buy from people or personalities that they connect with. If your mascot represents your audience's mindset, their struggle, or their humor, they'll see themselves in your brand, and that's going to build loyalty. Take example, Ocho. Ocho juggles everything: clipboards, coffee, stress, sticky notes. She's chaotic in the way that every small business owner feels on the inside. She makes people feel seen, and suddenly our business feels like a community, not just a store. Another example, Flo from Progressive. Flo's more than just an insurance spokesperson. She's a character. Her quirks, her humor, her charm. And she's not selling policies. She's just being herself. That's what makes her so trustworthy and likable. So now that we sketched out our mascot, what do? Let's write, 3 to 5 sentences about me from your mascot's perspective. What stresses them out? What do they love? What would they joke about? That voice will guide every post, caption, and campaign moving forward. Before we move on to 3, let's see check-ins where we are with it there. And Renee, all good here. I'm way above the river, so safe here. Other parts of the county, not so much. Cindy said, it's sandal leather. I'm drinking dark chocolate protein coffee. 5 things: unpack fabric, update embroidery software, mail run, bling a cup topper, and order stickers. I saw Cindy this weekend at the show. I had lots of fun things at that show. I will say that. But I don't even remember. Yeah, we did get a few things from a few other booths, but it was good seeing Cindy right across from the liquor. Good place, Cindy. Hi, Cindy from Renee. Hi, Cindy. We see sandal weather end of May, first part of June. It's always sandal weather, unless there's snow on the ground. Then I just don't go outside. Jeff says he's making a small wedge that will go between the blade holder and the screw. Tired of unscrewing it to switch it out from condition 1 to 3 spot on Graphic. What are you switching out for? I've never switched out my blade. Never. Like I use the same blade for everything. What are you switching out for? I really want to know. Hi everyone from Linda. Hi Linda from Barb. Hi Linda. Todd, what programs do you recommend for creating a vision of a mascot? I'm using, for the most part, I'm using ChatGPT for everything. That's what I'm building the prompt in. That's what I'm building. What is it? The GPT, and that's what I'm building the GPT in. Is all of that, where it'll walk us through it. It'll give us everything we need it, and I've come up with the renders of it. If you look and see, I've got a front profile, 3/4 profile, side profile, a back profile of each Fat Dad and Ocho. We've walked through the system. We've built that all out there. And that way, that's where we get started at. We can you could sketch it out, take a picture of it, throw it into good old Chat GPT, and have it redo it for you, and you just start refining on it. It's going to take time. We spent hours upon hours upon hours doing it, and then building up the GPT, and now we're testing it out with some of our paid mentors, and that's what we're going to see what we can do with it. All right, next up, for number 3, mascots for sure make your marketing more fun, and I think it could be a little more shareable too, because let's be honest, just writing captions and making content, it's exhausting. But when you have a mascot, you're not just promoting, you're storytelling, so you're entertaining. You crack jokes, you drop lines, or you can be totally unhinged, all through the lens of a lovable character. Usually every morning I will post, like a today in history, this day in whatever. So what did we do today? We did our one, and today is Lincoln, right? Today was Lincoln. Let me go back and I will pull it up and see what we had there, because I got to go back and find it, because that's what we need to do. Where is it at? Go to Todd. I'm pulling it up here, and that way it's listed in here. But yeah. So I was able to take it, create it, and what do? We put a stovetop hat on me, right? Stovepipe hat on me. And, it was there for Lincoln. So we'll do things like that where we can create it in there. It makes the marketing feel more like a cartoon or a comic strip. People engage differently. They laugh, they'll tag friends, they share, and it's kind of reach you just can't buy. When we look at these, like the Fat Dad memes, we'll have them deliver, those heartfelt pep talks, that savage maker of humor, that savage maker humor, passive aggressive reminders to stop ghosting your customers. People just don't like posts. They start to look forward to it and what he's going to say next with it. When you look at some of the other ones out there, there's different ways that you can do it. You can have battle back and forth. You can have, your one just handle all one side of the business, the other hand the other side of the business, or you can have them both interact with each other. So, we went through our creation of our mascot. We've given it some character with it. So maybe now just what we need to do is create that one meme or that one short post from your mascot's point of view. It could be a funny reaction, a relatable struggle, or just a thought they'd have, right? And then look and see how much more engagement you get when it feels like a character is speaking instead of your brand shouting out. Now, why do we have 2 mascots? Well, 2 mascots gives us more flexibility. One mascot gives you your brand personality. 2 mascots give it the range. You can play with the dual tones, one wise, one chaotic, one polished, one messy, one educational, one entertaining. This keeps your content dynamic while still feeling, unified together. And then it also helps with that audience segmentation. Maybe one mascot speaks more to your business owners while the other connects more with end consumers. Maybe one is there to teach and the other is there just for the laughs. Either way, when you have 2, it allows you to shift your tone without confusing your audience. Like us, we've got Fat Dad and Ocho. Fat Dad is the mentor, the teacher, the big-hearted business guy with tips and takeaways. Ocho is the emotion, the stress, that I need a nap, but I'm here energy, and together they let us both be, the expert and the friend. A good example of this are the M&M characters. Each color M&M has its own personality. Red one's sarcastic, yellow one is sweet and naive. Their different voices let the brand tell different stories, and that variety keeps things fun without losing that cohesion. So you went through, and we've got our first mascot of things that we do. Maybe it's time to brainstorm for that second one that could complement your first. What role do they play? What mood do they bring? Sketch their vibe out in 3 words. Imagine how they'd interact with your audience or each other. We are going to go through and do this with Level Up, and Corey's going to run through it, and so that way we're going to create 2 for her as well. And that's what we're going to do, is just keep rolling through that and put it in there for it. Artwork, and artwork could be things in, whether you're finding in Canva, whether you're finding have ChatGPT come up with it, whether you're going out and using visual references for things. You put it all together for it. Right now we're using between Corel, between Canva, between ChatGPT, Revision. I will have to go back and look through the list, because I honestly think on Friday we used 8 different programs. I think after everything was said and done, we ended up going through 8 different programs of things to get what we wanted for it. And that's all part of the AI class that I paid decent money for last week, and that we're learning stuff on it. Yeah, right. Sketch it out. I'm really good. I'm really good at sketching a crooked smile. But if you put it out there, it at least gives eyes to a crooked line. Well, you just put it out there. Yep. I can have an image, check my pictures, create one there. Yeah, you could do that, because you could take it, like if you're going to use Ruger, right? You're going to take a picture of the dog, put it in there. Hey, cartoonize. I'm going to go with that's a word. Cartoonize this image. We want to create a mascot based on this, so you can use a reference point and come back to it from there. Okay, now the last tip here. Mascots are going to let you tell better stories, and stories are what sell, right? Mascots turn your business journey into more of that storybook. Instead of saying, we've been in business 10 years, you can say, hey, Fat Dad started it in a spare room, covered in blank hoodies, fueled by coffee and chaos. People remember the stories. They feel the stories, and a mascot makes it easier to tell them. And this works for customer experience stories, product launches, mistakes, wins, anything at all, really. It's also keeps your audience emotionally invested, because they're following your characters that they care about. Your mascots become the face of your growth. So like Fat Dad's origin. Instead of making our business feel corporate, we can let Fat Dad narrate the journey, from that spare room chaos to building the full business that we're now. It's raw, it's funny, and it's so much more compelling than just a timeline or a bio. Think of this: Mr. Peanut Super Bowl death. Remember that? Planners ran a whole story arc where Mr. Peanut died and was later reborn. It was dramatic, it was silly, and it was unforgettable. It made people laugh and talk, which is the point of storytelling and marketing. So we've got the character, we've fleshed them out, we've got them a companion. What do we do next? Let's pick one story from your brand's journey. Your first sale, your biggest mistake, your wildest order, and let's retell that story from your mascot's point of view, in the caption or the post of it. So to wrap this all up and bring it together, your brand deserves a face or 2. Mascots aren't just cute characters. They're brand builders, they're storytellers, they're traffic drivers, and they're engagement machines. They bring that consistency to your messaging and gives people something real to connect with. And even if that real is just, a snarky octopus or a flip-flop wearing dad, right? So we do mascots. This is how we go with it. Mascots make your brand instantly recognizable. They create emotional connections. They make your marketing fun and shareable. 2 mascots are going to give you range and flexibility. 5, they help you tell stories people actually care about. So, if your brand is feeling flat or forgettable or a little too serious, it might be time to build a mascot, or better yet, a whole cast of characters. So that's what we got for you today. Let me know. Like, hate, horrible. Give me your thoughts. You know I love hearing your feedback from you guys. We've got a little extra time today, so like I said, we like to do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8:30 to 9. Then after this, we have our mentorship call that starts at 9:30. You can find the link to that down in the description where you can sign up over on Patreon, and we do that also Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for it. Let's see. Yeah, it was 8, Barb. When we were running through the different ones, there was things that just did things different, and it was like that style of it. Did you want this with it? Did you go through it? And when we created that whole arc of things, is we've got, image creation, we've got animation, we're working on a jingle this week. We've got a jingle that we're creating, and then the different style of animations, the different style of artwork, the different voices that were there with it, to combine them all 8. I think we ended up going through 8 different ones of seeing what felt like us, what was the best fit for us, what the style, thing like that. So we went through it. Yeah, Barb, as far as AI, are you using ChatGPT for the images? And Barb says, Renee, ChatGPT, Canva has AI, Photoshop and Illustrator have added AIs. Yeah, everything is adding AI to it. Canva just did a huge update at the end of last week. I have not been through it. I have not checked it, but from the sounds of it, it's doing some pretty amazing stuff. Each design program, there's more and more AI that's coming into it, so it can help you do a lot more with it. Things last week with going through it, we're creating the action figures, we're creating the Funko Pops, we're creating the bobbleheads, we are creating the cartoons, the Ghibli style. We were going through different versions of it and then just seeing how we can manipulate those. If you're not learning, you're not earning. You got to get out there for it. And something that we're realizing is a lot of people just don't have the time to do it. They don't have the time to get in there to figure this out on it, and they just rather pay somebody to do it all for them. And that's where we come in, is that the service that we're going to start providing as we go through this and build the things out. Like I said, we've got a handful of people that we are working with as we go through this. They're early adopters. There's ones that are paying the support each month. Not cheap. I will put that out there. Not cheap. We're working with them one-on-one, and as we develop new things, they're testing it out. We're seeing what works for them, and we're going that way with it. So constantly be evolving. If you are not using AI in your business, you're going to get passed. One way or another, your competitors are using AI. And whether that's simple things like setting up funnels, just email tracking, customer order tracking, we're using AI more and more every day, and you don't even realize it. So if you're able to simplify some of those processes, if you are in a saturated market area, or if you are in somewhere where there is just a lot of noise going on, you need to figure out how to stand apart from other. Now, if you're in an area where, hey, you're the sole provider, this is just an add-on extension. This is a way to grow your brand bigger and spread the reach more for it. And it is definitely a fun experience to do. And Barb says, I like the mascot idea. What's the class? I've actually, so I've got like 4 different ones that I'm in right now. I spent way too much money. There's way too many zeros that were added on to stuff. But we're in 4 different ones that we're taking parts of all of it and put it together for it. Might get you some links for it and throw it in there. Some of them are, one I took, it was a couple $100, and going through it all, I knew everything that was already in it from stuff that we did in the past. The way it was presented, and that's where I'm finding more and more. I'm taking trainings that I know I probably know just as much, if not more, than what is being presented, but I want to see how that information is presented. How is it going on? And the end goal of this is we're building our own system with it. So we'll be able to offer that to people, the GPTs to run through the step-by-step process for it, the one-on-one support for it. That is all going to be in. We're shooting for May 1st to have the new mentorship community open. It'll be tiered systems for it, because even in our personalized service, where we're getting an hour a week dedicated to a call with them, we're looking at another tier where somebody wants more and they want to spend it. I'm going to create it, and then more of a group setting as well. So there'll be different layers and tiers and that, but that's all we're building, because as we're expanding out, what at the end of the day, as far as us printers, what are we? Is we're marketers, right? we're helping other businesses get their message out there. When we're doing business shirts, things for schools, things for recitals, things for that, we're helping them market their products. So how can we get better at that? Start working at a marketing side of it. We're already doing it, especially for us. We're already helped so many people. How can we better serve those? And that's what Fat Dad and Ocho are going to help us do for it. I want to do an action figure and bobblehead. There, I'll get you the links. I will get you the prompts that should help you out in ChatGPT for that part. A lot of it is it'll give you the base, and then you go in and you'll change. Why did I go away? I don't know why I went away. I didn't do anything. So there's a lot of different ways to get things there, and then there's even more ways to take that on there. Like we can create, the bobblehead action figure in so many different programs. Then we can bring it to life in so many different programs, and then there's so many different programs that can give it a voice, and then there's so many different ways to go about it. We're still fleshing out whether we're going to use HeyGen or 11 Labs. Those are the kind of that we're using for our voiceovers and things, where we can just type out, have the script in my voice for it, and that's what we're just constantly playing out there for it. Yep, just another prompt series to go through and do it. Are you linking into the classes or offering in Discord? Yes and no. Like I said, we're going to go through it and find the ones that because there's a lot of noise out there where it just isn't the greatest. And so, hey, here it is with it. The last class that we're looking at, it's about $8,000 for it. So I know that is out of the reach out of a lot of people, but if we can take a lot of that information and help us and then build ours, then we're going to include that in some of the things that we do. So yeah, last week, if I would have bought everything that I was on the table, I probably would have spent $20,000 last week. And that's no bullshit. It's just, that's what courses cost. That's where it is, because information is ever changing so fast, and we want to be able to, be on the forefront of that. Now with this, we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure to like and subscribe and share, because hey, sharing is caring. We're back Wednesday. We're gonna let Fat Dad and Ocho decide what we're gonna do for a topic on Wednesday and see what we can do from there. Because as we're building this out, we're adding things to it and going from there. But we'll be back Wednesday, and we'll move on from there. If you are in our mentorship community, 31 minutes. We're starting up that call. Make sure to check the link, check the comments, check the description for the link. So until next time, peace, love, press on. We'll see you then.